This video will have 3 parts. First, I'm going to describe the issue that I think holds LeBron back at the line. Second, I'm going to show you examples of the very best free throw shooters who all use a different technique than LeBron. Third, I'm going to do my best to explain why the difference is significant, and hopefully convince you of my theory. LeBron has tried many different adjustments to his free throw routine, from his stance to his ball bounce routine to his step up to the line, but he's never tried what I'm about to describe, at least not in a game situation, and I truly think that this change would make a fundamental difference to his free throw motion that would make him an elite shooter from the line. To help you follow what I want to point out, I'm going to break down the free throw motion into 3 separate positions. Position 1 is the start of the shot, where the ball sits in the shooter's shooting pocket. Position 2 is the middle of the shot, known commonly as the set point, where the ball stops being raised up and towards the head and starts being pushed away from the body towards the rim. Position 3 is the end of the shot, where the hand flicks forward to release the ball. What I want you to observe is the position of LeBron's legs when he is in position 2. His knees are essentially locked, and his heels are high off the ground, signaling that his calves are near fully flexed. Whether or not they are fully flexed doesn't really matter. Rather, the point is that his heels have come off the ground as high as they're going to in his entire shot motion. So, to summarize, I want you to remember that at position 2, the set point, LeBron's knees are locked and his heels have come off the ground as high as they're going to in his motion. Before I tell you why what I just pointed out is significant, I want to show you that it is significant. To do so, I'm going to show you what the very best free throw shooters look like at position 2 of their shots. Let's start with the best free throw shooter of all time, Steve Nash. If we pause Nash's shot at position 2, we see a big difference. His knees are very much bent and his heels are barely off the ground. In fact, Nash won't achieve knee lockout and maximum heel height until position 3 of his shot. I'll get back to this in part 3 of this video, where I explain the reason for the difference. You might point out that Nash has very different technique to LeBron in other ways, like his low set point or even his smaller stature, and you'd be right. But this technique point transcends height and technique differences. Let's now look at Kobe Bryant, a player who is much more similar to LeBron in terms of size, as well as the position of his set point above his head. If we pause at his position 2, we see that Kobe's knees are bent, albeit not quite as far as Nash's were bent. Kobe's heels are also a little higher off the ground than Nash's heels were, but again, they are nowhere near being as far off the ground as they will be later in Kobe's motion. Like Nash, it's only when Kobe reaches position 3 in his shot that his knees lock and his heels achieve maximum height off the ground. Kobe shot 84% from the line in his career. Let's look at another great free throw shooter, one who's even taller than LeBron. Yao Ming is 7'6" and shot 83% from the line for his career, almost a full 10 percentage points higher than LeBron has in his career so far. Once more, at position 2, his knees are bent and his heels have barely come off the ground. It's only at position 3 that his knees straighten somewhat, but even more clear is that his heels have come off the ground at the maximum height that they will get to. A quick recap before I get to other examples. At position 2, the set point, LeBron's knees are locked and his heels have come off the ground as high as they will. At position 2 for truly elite free throw shooters, the knees are bent and the heels are low to the ground, or at the very least, not fully off the ground. Where LeBron's legs are in his position 2 are where the best free throw shooters' legs are at their position 3s. LeBron's release timing is simply off by a few fractions of a second. I hope you're following along. I'm now going to run through some more examples of great free throw shooters whose position 2s look different to LeBron's position 2, but this time I'm going to do it at a quicker pace now that you understand what I'm pointing out. Here's Steph Curry at position 2, and then position 3. I'll throw in Steve Kerr for good measure as well. Here's James Harden. And Michael Jordan. I think you get the point. There's an endless list of great free throw shooters who shoot using the method I've outlined with these examples. I encourage you to go out and find more examples, and although I haven't included them in this video for the sake of brevity, top free throw shooters like Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Dirk Nowitzki, Kyrie Irving, and Chris Paul all shoot with bent knees and relatively low heel height at position 2, and locked knees and high heel height at position 3. Because LeBron achieves maximum leg extension at position 2, his legs cannot offer any input into the motion that takes place between position 2 and position 3. In fact, LeBron's legs don't just transfer no energy into his arms for the push and release of the ball, they even take some energy away. This is because between position 2 and position 3, LeBron's heels often dip back towards the ground. This means that his entire body, including his arms, is moving ever so slightly back towards the ground when he shoots free throws. Worse still, the amount that he dips towards the ground is variable, meaning that he has what amounts to a variable base and a variable negative source of power in his free throw motion. Of course, it's only a small amount of variation, but it could be enough between, say, shooting 76% from the line and shooting 86% from the line. I think it's actually a testament to his incredible work ethic that he's been able to make himself a decent free throw shooter over his career, despite this impediment to consistent rhythm and power transfer in his free throws. The best free throw shooters maintain knee bend and low heel height at position 2 of their motions, so that between position 2 and position 3, their legs are able to positively contribute to their shots. For smaller players like Steve Nash and Isaiah Thomas, the ability to straighten the knees and flex the calves is likely important for power production, to alleviate some of the strain on the shooting arm to allow it to move as consistently as possible. I think this issue of power transfer from the legs to the arms, while less of a factor for larger players like LeBron and Kobe, is still significant. Although their arms are clearly powerful enough to shoot the ball from the free throw line with no help from their legs, I believe that by reducing the amount of force that your arms need to produce on their own, you end up with a more consistent shot no matter your level of strength. Just look at 7-foot shooters like Yao Ming and Dirk. Secondly, I believe that extending your legs between position 2 and position 3, as opposed to between positions 1 and 2, greatly benefits your shot rhythm. I believe that it is easier for your body to move consistently through a single, linked, upward motion that does not have any pauses or stops in it. This is particularly important in clutch situations, as the less you have to time your shot consciously, the less likely you are to miss. This is why players like Steph Curry shoot with a consistently relaxed motion when they shoot clutch free throws, just like when they shoot normal free throws. But free throw shooters like LeBron tend to look a little hesitant or overly deliberate when they shoot clutch free throws. Finally, if you think you suffer from the same kind of timing issues as LeBron, the good news is that it's not an overly complicated diagnosis and fix. You simply need to look at yourself in position 2 of your motion and see the position that your legs are in. If your legs are in the position of the great shooters I described earlier, with bent knees and low heel height, you're doing just fine. If you have fully extended legs, however, I would suggest that you seriously think about switching over. If you need help doing so, then be sure to follow my Scott Shaw Instagram page and message me over there for further help. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.